You know what? Let me take this off the screen. I have time to edit it either. I wish Google or YouTube still had their editor. So yeah, I just want to make a couple quick videos. Obviously, we are in the brightest dark timeline. We got the reveal of both Armor King, Marduk. We saw some gameplay footage of Negan. Actually, I was going to talk about Negan too, simply because I haven't placed him yet, but he really reminds me of a different character, and I can't quite put it. But we're gonna go through the Armor King stuff. I'm pretty familiar with both. I had a friend uh, who played the game, and he was a Raven Marduk player. So basically, I picked up Raven and Marduk, which is one of the reasons why I played Raven and created the Raven tutorial. They may have seen 6 years ago. I'll do the YouTube thing. Hey, top right corner if you want to watch the unedited Raven tutorial. I highly don't suggest it, but you can go ahead and check that out. But yeah, let's go ahead and look at Armor King. I'll talk about, Marduk was first, so let's talk about Marduk first. So you can watch the trailer. I'm not going to do the trailers. Marduk obviously sporting, like, it looks like half his suit. Okay, so down forward one. First things first, let's go ahead and slow this down. So down forward one, for people who are unaware, for Marduk is 16 frames. So just like Raven, down forward one, down forward two, respectively, hits on 16 frames. So presumably it's going to be the same for Marduk, and I'll actually get to that in a little bit, why it's probably going to be the same. But same properties, looks like class 2 launcher. Goes into the standard combo right away. Actually, so he's doing the T5 variation, which is 2 down 1. Something of note is that if you look at Gigas, one of the properties in Season 2 that they had changed is they changed his, I don't know the official term, but ready stance 1. They changed it from a high plus frame, or safe rather, I think it was -6, into a -13 string. For Marduk, it's probably going to be the same thing. 2 down 1 is probably going to be -13. Likely then keep that property over. But for the most part, this is like his kind of standard go-to filler, especially in T5 until the meta switched into 1-2 VTS canceling. So 2 down 1. So down forward 1, down forward 4 1. One thing of note, so in prior games in T6 and T7, or not T7, but tag 2, down forward 1, so down forward 4 2 was his bound combo, but more importantly, a lot of people didn't realize that was actually his 14 frame Punisher. So if you look at, once again, the properties for previous games, down forward 1 being on 16 frames, he didn't get anything until 14, at least significant, until he got down forward 1, down forward 4 2. Which is actually pretty good plus frames, pretty good damage, and more importantly, caused a bind. So if they ever went airborne, you would get a stun, bound and/or wall floor break, but also would put them into crouching. It was probably something like +3 crouching. Most importantly, though, down forward 4-2 was actually launch punishable. If you watch the was I believe Nin versus NorCal Duo, I can't think of his name, Bronson, at the Evo finals a few years ago. One of the things that messed up with Nin, who was playing Steve Marduk, he did a raw down forward 4-2. What do you call it? Bronson, having played Marduk plenty of times, realized that was launch punishable. Boom, hit him with the Jinpachi down forward 2 and end up winning the game. I explicitly remember that moment because as soon as I had seen it, I jumped up and yelled launch because it's so rare that you see it. That it's just kind of funny that way. But in hindsight, it looked like a 1 initially. Let's see, let's make sure. Okay, yeah, he backslaps him and it looks to be high. My guess is this going to be a 14 frame Punisher, and it's going to be NC, likely going to cause, and not a knockdown, because that actually, interestingly enough, is if this caused a pure knockdown, this would actually be a nerf for Marduk. One of the most important parts of Marduk is that while he has the range, he's really scary when he's in your face. So if down forward 4 is a 14 frame NC Punisher that ends with a high and a spin, you better watch out because Marduk is going to be fucking terrifying. I'm calling it now. So he does the standard finisher after. Okay, so it goes for down back 4 2, something brand new. There's 2 variations of down back 4. Down back 4 3, which is the most popular one. And down forward 4-4, I think it was. To be honest, I'm not too sure. It's nice that he has now maybe possibly even a third option finisher, which makes something like down back 4 super fucking dumb, to be honest. But, what can you do? Okay, change here. So it looks like forward 1+2 is going to be his Power Crush. More importantly, if that isn't forward 1+2, it might be 1+2 raw. Unfortunately, 1+2 raw in previous games was a guard break attack, and on counter hit was +16. So 1+2 counter hit, down forward 1, was NC. You got a full combo. And at the wall, it's nice because it kind of acts similar to King's forward neutral 1+2, which would get you +16 or whatnot, or +15, the guarantee of the 4 and 2-1. Although Marduk's was superior in that way, simply one input, and due to his larger size, you don't burn 3-4 frames to do the input, and then he just pushes you right away. It's a really good move. Underutilized at lower levels. At higher levels, you would see it a lot. Okay, so similar to King, we have back 4 into wall not wall break, wall bounce. I'm sorry, notation get me. So it does course forward 1, 2, which causes hard splat due to the height. That's not brand new. Course forward 1 is a move that, presuming it makes its way into tag or into second 7 from tag, he has a couple of variations. Most importantly, if you sidestep left, you can evade both options. But he had the ability, and there's a lot of Yomi there and a metagame which involve course for 1 options, canceling, fake outs. Very rarely would you see it raw, but for the most part, if you were to throw it out, being basically a class 1 launcher, you could basically throw it out for free simply because the option and the threat was there. So it's causing something that more often people call hesitation frames or mental plus advantage, even though it wasn't. Down forward 4 or down forward 3, 1, nothing new. Into ground throw, that's basically your standard stuff. Into the knockdown, once again, that's all original stuff that he had in previous games. Okay, so this one is nice. So not too unsurprising. Forward 2 causes an instant spin. That was change in, I believe, tag. But the difference is now because it's spin, it changes his variation option, so it kind of kills his follow up. So he does down forward 3-1, 1-2 into VTS cancel 4-4 1+2. It's great to see that. That's basically your standard DR combo. Nothing new there. It's kind of nice to see it back, and not to mention it has a little bit of execution requirements to it, so it's nice to have it. So here we have double JGS 3. Down back 2, so similar to Marduk's down back 2, which is one of the reasons why speculated Gigas down back 1+2. One of the reasons Marduk was thought not to be in was because he basically has this. But now it looks kind of similar to Asuka back 1, where it is a low, high crushing counter hit knockdown, and then on counter hit causes attack throw. It's nice because it puts him into a spike immediately, although probably nothing going to be after the fact. So maybe just some good Oki. Down forward 3 checking. One thing of note is now due to the wake up system in T7 versus tag, is that you can't get a down forward 3 relaunch, which is kind of a big part of Marduk's game in previous games. So he's kind of going to get hurt like, like when it came to Dragunov, where he lost his wake up Oki options off the floor, where basically if the opponent flinches incorrectly, you get a free relaunch, but that's no longer the case, but we'll see. He might have a good part of doing down forward 3, like 1+2 for respike, or potentially things like ground throw, Oki. It's yet to be seen, but it's something that everyone should be cognizant of. So down back 1+2, the old, I don't remember the name, but let's call it a Titan Hammer because it basically acts as King's Titan Hammer. Nothing new. Although we're about to see something big here. So up forward 3, standard filler combo, kind of like Armor King that we'll see later. 1-2 VTS cancel into a new, so no VTS cancel. That is a VTS 2, which was added in tag. It looks like 2-4, likely going to be high. In similar property, there's a very good chance that it's going to be like down forward 4-1, where this is an NC option, which means at the wall especially, VTS 2-4, because it was NC or 2-1 previously, is likely going to be NC and likely going to be a very scary option, seeing as how it's mid-high. And presuming he still has VTS down 1+2, this is going to be some of the dirtiest 50-50s at the wall you have ever seen. So let's say best case scenario for Marduk here. Let's say Marduk still has VTS 1-2 or 2-1. It's incredible. It's hard to express my joy because he is going to be one of the most broken characters in the game. He is going to be terrifying. He's likely going to hit like a truck, and he's going to have some of the scariest wall pressure in the game. Mark my words, if things like VTS 2-4 is NC, the meta is going to shift drastically, and he will likely be top 15 nearly immediately if he still has options like VTS 2-1 and VTS down 1+2. He's going to be insane. And here we go, the biggest change, which is something I've been waiting for a long time. I was hoping Dragunov would eventually get one of these, but no, so far not yet. He has a rage drive that transitions into the VTS tackle, but most importantly, it happens during a spin state. So he has an airborne attack throw transitioning into VTS 1+2, which is the tackle. And like VTS tackle, for people who aren't aware of this when it comes to Marduk, because a lot of people have not played Marduk, this is actually something called a QTE, or a quick time event. So Marduk mounts you. You see how King's hands are up? Right now, King is blocking 1+2 because both hands are an equal distance, or equidistant, if you want to use the mathful term. Marduk, using tackle 1, comes with his left hand. Therefore, to break this, King has to press 2. So you can react to Marduk swinging. You can see which arm he's going to use. He can use both arms. He can use his left arm, his 2, which blocks with 1, a 1 which blocks a 2, or 1+2 which blocks a 1+2. But most importantly, Marduk can actually fake out attacks. So rather than do tackle 1, tackle 2, tackle 1+2, or tackle 3+4, which is still a 1+2, he can do a slide input. So he can do tackle 1 slide 2 or 2 slide 1, where he flinches with one arm and hits you with the other arm. Also, presuming all of the old mechanics come back, he'll still have things like VTS 1+3 or tackle 1+3 or 2+4, which means he commits to the punch, but he does an additional attack throw after, which nets an extra 5 to 10 damage. So the flinch does reduce damage for the cost of about 10. But if you hard commit, especially if they're down low enough where if they incorrectly get it, you're going to win, it's probably better to go for the tackle 1+3 or 2+4. You're looking at, once again, a difference of roughly 25 damage, not including the tackle, which has a special damage modifier on it, but also the additional attack throw on the end. So, like I said, if you do a flinch versus a full commit, you're usually looking at about 10 to 15 damage difference. But the fact that he has that is awesome. So he's doing the full pound, so he had committed to it. That means he did a 1+3. King did not break with a 2, therefore he got it. After this, nothing special, just rage art, standard ground pound, nothing new to talk about there. So that's Marduk. Hopefully you guys have fun, and how's it going, Keegan? Okay, Armor King is basically the lore is that Marduk had killed the original Armor King, which was King 1's, which is what they call him, King 1's teacher, and King 2, or Armor King 2, comes out and avenges Armor King 1's death, and yeah, so this is Armor King 2. So, like I had said in my tweet, if you follow me on Twitter, twitter.com/Tyler2K1, it's nice that they've actually showed Armor King here as a technical character, which is awesome. So, see, let's go ahead and put it on ×5. I think we had on ×5, right? Okay, so right away we see the standard option. So dark upper, 14 frame, high launcher, basically an electric without the electric portion of it. So just a Wind God Fist hitting on 14, high -10, presumably on block. So he does the standard filler, up forward 3, pickups, down forward 1 check, into a new variation of back 2-4. Back 2-4 was always in the game, but it had very limited uses, and also I believe it was mid, and it was like -17 on block. It was something insane. Now he did have a special combo, which I believe was what was it? He added some variation that finished with back 2-4 for, I believe, like 65 points. But it was so hard to hit confirm that you never realistically would see it. So, here we are. You're realistically never going to see it. But now that it's a spin attack, it looks to be mid-high because he kicks high in the air, causing spin. There is, I would say, a pretty good chance that this is going to be NC simply because the hits here. Um, I don't think it's out yet, right? It's out tomorrow. Okay, I haven't checked yet, but yeah, I haven't downloaded anything yet, but I don't believe it to be free yet. Back to 4 into spin into the Shining Wizard for his. Pretty easy combo. Nothing super important. Now let me quickly check. Armor King doing a standard taunt. So actually, this is not a great change. Forward 1+2 is now going to be his Power Crush. Similar to, what's it called? Yeah, I'm not seeing it, Keegan. Not seeing it free yet. Similar to, unless it's out right now, I don't know. But similar to Kazuya Forward 2, for some reason they changed the Bakis in this game into being a Power Crush attacks. So rather than being a standard punch parry, because forward 1+2 for Armor King used to be a punch parry, it's now a full Power Crush. Although one thing of note that most people didn't realize, forward 1+2 was -10, even though it had a weird animation. It gave basically false advantage. So that was kind of a little tidbit, but now that it's Power Crush, it's going to be at least -12 because it's going to be mid-hitting. Likely losing its throw, its punch parry status for Power Crush status instead. So down back 3, much better than King's down back 3. It causes, oh, it's out in EU? Cool, dude. I'll check it out in a little bit then. Down back 3, way harder to see than King's, although is a little bit different, different animation, full launcher, stuff like that. Yeah, I assume Marduk's gonna be insane. So it goes for Wall Stand 2, which is special to this King. Different animation, very similar to Full Crouch Down Forward 2. Into Key Charge. And now with Key Charge, he has a different property to his Dark Upper, which causes Blue Spark. Down 3+4 into new variation, 1. What's interesting, down forward 3+4, 4 is low mid. So it's probably going to be the 50-50 there. Down forward 3+4, 4 is launch punishable. And this is a high variation to it, which presumably you duck into course forward 1, which is basically his forward 1+2 for King, but it's into a different notation because, like I had said, the punch parry is forward 1+2. Course forward 1 into forward 1+4 shoulder ram, which is very cool. Like they started with like the super technical combo that, if you look at the other combo videos, and for the most part, is way different. 4-4-4 counter hit, down forward 1+2, which was a homing mid attack, which I believe was technically unsafe at certain ranges, and is now a spin. I don't really like that because it kind of slows things down too much. Down 2, 4, and most likely 3, because he gets a roll, which is brand new to Armor King. Armor King has never had a roll. 4-4, 1+2 does a standard kip up after the fact. Now he does the wall run, a back, back, up, back, which does a proper throw. It's kind of funny. So we missed it here. Basically, his Rage Drive causes, now we're missing it. His Rage Drive is basically super acid breath, which in what's really interesting is in previous games it was +16 G. So if they tried doing anything, Dark Upper was guaranteed here. This time he goes for Shining, which mathematically can't hit any faster than 11. With inputs with buffered would mean it hits on 13. So it likely is +13 at least. There's a good chance that Rage Drive, if blocked, because it's causing an armor or armor/guard break, is going to be -12 at least, which means back 1-2 would be guaranteed. Takes a Shining instead right to the face. Yeah, me too, Krista, for sure. And then doing his standard taunts, nothing new. Although that armor that looks pretty sick, is armor there. I just didn't notice the lower cape and stuff like that. So GS1, which looks different for him, into basically a TGF, which is funny because he doesn't have that, into a Nizuna drop, but finishing with a pile driver style with his Shining Wizard Ender, basically. Yeah, that's about it. And actually, let's go ahead and talk about Negan. So at the end here, they show off Julia, spoiler alert, and she is a stream girl. It's too laggy? Oh, no, I have this in slow-mo. Unless you're talking about something else. Negan, though. So they did this whole thing with Negan here, where, like the show, the end of, I think it was season 4? I can't remember. Where basically you have to find out who's going to kill. So it looks like standing 2 into Rekka's. So the only reason I'm doing this part here is this is all speculation, but he does an attack later in the footage where I'm like, I've seen that attack before, and hopefully it dawns on me while looking at these. But 2 into Rekka's, with it being mid, likely launch punishable on the final hit. One trend of these attacks overall is that anything that has a duplicate attack into it, so like if you do mid or low, it causes a variation of the calculation when it comes to the frame data, let's call it. So typically if you do the same attack twice or 3 times in a row, it becomes extra -2, and you get heavily penalized. So this Rekka style attacking, especially with the heavy swing at the end here, is likely -14 or -15. Obviously it looks like to be natural hit knockdown, or at least counter hit. Wall splat, not a full launch. So let's go back here. And let's slow this down a little bit. And I don't like this because this is the GameSpot channel. And it's like, I don't know, their quality's so poor. It's really sucks. So it looks like a 1-2 ending up. Oh yeah, Negan's definitely unfinished, you can tell. Into a frame trap. So 1-2 is likely in order. Okay, so let's do the math. So power crushes activate on 8 frames. She does forward 2, which is 15 frames. So this is, what is that? I can't do math right now. So 15. Yeah. I hit a hotkey or something. Shit. Oh well. Yeah, I hit some sort of hotkey. There goes that idea. Yeah, so like I was talking about, just in case. So he does down forward 4, 1, very, like I said, very similar to what's it called? Very similar to Mitsurugi 4KB with a splat, and it looks to be like a door knocker style attack. So likely is high ender, causes a hard splat. But I have seen that attack before. I just can't remember what game I've seen it in. Okay. So yeah, this is the other attack. I'm not quite sure when it had called in. So he does some sort of 2-2 variation, and it seems to be very similar to Fang 1-1 in the fact it's a high mid, although he doesn't have an additional variation to it. and then it's an attack throw, so he pushes. And there's the shockwave, so it probably does an extra 5 points of damage when it hits the ground. That's typically what a shockwave is a variable to. So 15 frames into black screen. What are you talking about? Oh, he gets tigered, so he's in rage now. Oh, actually I didn't see that. So his rage drive very similar to what's it called? Miguel's, except it causes wall bounce and knock away. Likely is safe because it causes like a push. And then actually, this is kind of interesting too here. So he spikes down. So likely the input's probably gonna be something like down forward 2 or down 2. I'm sorry. And then hard knockdown state. So very similar to other characters. An additional hit on the ground. So maybe down 2-2. But because they're in this hard knockdown state, that probably means that's unscaled attack damage. So it'll reset the scaling, which is really good, especially if they're at the wall. He might have some sort of door knocker hit, down 2-2, low splat, although low slump may change the properties on that, so probably not the best idea there. And I think got one more. Oh yeah, so this makes me think, obviously, so very similar sway away style attack. There's a Soul Calibur attack. Maybe it's like Grow's attack. Almost a class 1 filler attack. So it looks to be down forward 4-2. So he has, it looks like 2 different variations. Interesting. So maybe that means down forward 4-1 is not high. Maybe it's like the mid hits of Door Knocker, whereas down forward 4-2, obviously causing this kind of flip over spin, is probably the high variation. Back 1 likely, causing hard knockdown instant spin, so that means it's probably his standing launcher as well. Back 3, very similar to Miguel. Oh, turn the sound off. Back 3-2, and wow, look at that. Look how far he got pushed back. So I was thinking he's going to get knocked into the ground. No, he gets pushed back up. So long carry option. Oh, okay, I thought something was going to happen there. I'm like, that kind of looks like normally like how you play against Nina. Oh, back throw. Oh yeah, it gives her the shank. So I'm speculating right now. I don't think he's going to be true meter based, but I think he's going to have some sort of meter when it comes to his bat. Basically, when he says Lucille is thirsty at the end, in one of the things is he Negan for him, the bat Lucille is basically not quite an extension of himself. It's like it calls to him. It's almost like the relationship between Nightmare and Soul Edge, except when it comes to Soul Edge literally controls Nightmare. But I think he's going to have basically a blood stance. So as the bat winds up, it becomes more bloody, it becomes more charged, and I think there's going to be some sort of indicator because later they are going to show it. So it's possible like things like the backstab throw will charge up his bat, and then eventually he'll be coming to like a bloodthirsty stance, we'll call it. Although the name bloodthirsty is not great, simply because BT is such a common acronym already. But what can you do? Likely down 2. Interesting. It causes the whole foothold, so that's like what, plus 13 G or up to plus 17 G, even plus 22 G, depending on the character. And there's no reason to think this was counter hit, although to have that property would be very strange. So Duck 2 is minus 14. He's already into a neutral state, so he had, it looks to be 2 to 4 frames to recover. And it's possible he's trying to push a button, but very unlikely. Although to have that as a neutral hit, especially, let's see how fast it is in like real time. Might be too good. Okay, so very similar. Pull his hand back, similar to what's his name, the geese down 1+2. And it looks to be he auto steps forward. Maybe that's a special stance too. You see that? Because that's definitely not his neutral walk. That's not a Tekken neutral walk. That's a stance. Probably back two, and then back four, almost certainly. Although this might be part of his stomp stance. Like it might be just generic down 3+4. Kick some, then kick some away. So it doesn't quite look like it. And we just have a few more for Negan here. Shoulder ram, likely 4-4-2. Pry back two, counter hit, attack throw, and then let's see. No, it's too early. And that's basically about it. And then they show the rage art at the end, which I think, if I was to take a guess, has been toned down. Because I know people in the stream were like, oh, the rage art's cool, but it seems so short. I think it was toned down. I think maybe ESRB sort of stuff, or maybe just for the preview trailer, they couldn't do the full brutality and Bible thump. So, spoiler alert, he picks Paul. So, one thing of note is that when it comes to the show, he basically kills a white guy and he kills an Asian guy. So, question is, who's the Asian guy he's going to be killing, huh? Paul, other than Robert Richards there, is the only other white guy. I mean, I guess technically Steve's there. I take that back. So the rage art. So the bat goes all crazy. This is why I'm thinking there's like a bloodthirst dance. And it's not unique to this animation, because as soon as he pulls the bat back, it's gone. So I think that was just showing it off. So he probably has basically a savage stance, which we had seen where he auto walks forward, and he has maybe a bloodthirsty modifier to the bat. So gives him the old taking it like a champ speech, and then gives him one more good thwop. Whack. Brutal. But that's yet to be seen. Almost certainly he has a forward stepping stance. He has to lean down too. Okay, and that's the three. According to Keegan, go ahead. I guess it's out in EU right now, which makes sense. It's past 24 hours. And check it out. Oh, they don't even have the ending where he shits on Rob either. Okay. Okay, I will see you guys next time. I'm going to go ahead and post this up. Go ahead and be sure to watch the streams. They're live.